So leading up to the Game Awards coming up next week, Thursday the 9th, Geoff Keighley gave an interview to the Washington Post to generate some hype, create some positive press, right, to get more people on board with this show that's coming up. And during this interview, I think people were hoping for him to kind of take a clear stand against Activision and to express what the consequences will be, you know, for their actions, for basically ignoring the harassment. If you don't know what was going on with Bobby Kotick and Activision, watch the videos that I did about it. I'll link it all in the description. In a nutshell, in July earlier this year, it came out that Activision has been ignoring and silencing loads of harassment and misconduct in their own company, including, you know, people being harassed so much that it led to suicide of employees. Bobby Kotick at the time said, well, I don't know anything about this. Well, then it turns out just a month ago came out that Bobby Kotick was part of it. In fact, he was one of the oppressors. It's just a trail of lies and misconduct and harassment that happens behind the scenes at Activision. And following on from that story, I think people were hoping that Geoff Keighley would say, well, these are the consequences of these actions that will impact the Game Awards in this and that way. Well, instead, he said during this interview, we want to support people coming forward with their stories, but also we don't want to diminish developers' opportunities to spotlight their games. We have to think very carefully how we proceed here. And you might say, oh, what? Hold on a second. How can you say something like that with the story that happened at Activision? I mean, yeah, we have to be careful, but it seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, if you don't take a clear stand, you're siding with the oppressors, right? You're basically saying, yeah, you know, it's a minefield and we're trying to navigate it. But these guys have to show their games, okay? Because it's all about the games. Well, who's making the games? The people who are being oppressed, the people who are being harassed behind closed doors, while the company and the publishers who sell these games do nothing about it, okay? So the statement didn't go down well. And as I'm recording this, you can see Activision Blizzard is trending on Twitter right now. It's a big deal. Kotaku ran a whole story about it earlier today, and the headline, I think was a bit different. They changed it now. The Game Awards won't take sides on Activision's fallout. And now they said to focus on the reveals. Okay, that is kind of the update. And we'll get to that in a second. But originally, the story basically just said they can't take a stand, right? Because at that point in time, all we knew was that Geoff Keighley sees, well, you know, we want these developers to really highlight their games, and we have to carefully proceed. And you might wonder, why? Why would he not take a clearer stand on this? This doesn't make sense to me. Well, let's look at the website of the Game Awards. If you go there and you hit About and you scroll down and you look at the advisory board of the Game Awards, you see we have Rob Kostich sitting, who's president of Activision, by the way, sitting pretty much on top. He's listed first on the advisory board of the Game Awards. And it's like, right, that kind of explains why Keighley doesn't take a clearer stand. I mean, generally, how can you have all these people, right? Okay, a lady from AMD, I think she's the CEO of AMD. I get that. I can see that. But a lady from EA, dude from Google and Stadia, someone from Epic Games, Hideo Kojima. Okay, I mean, I guess he's a personality that would have a justification to sit in the spot. But these people? Why are these people, these kind of higher up the ranks operating chief officer from EA and Activision, why are they on the board of the Game Awards? Okay, these are the companies that potentially win these awards, but the people from the company are sitting on the board. That just makes no sense. It should be maybe, you know, gaming press, video game experts, people who just know a lot about games, about video game history, people who wrote books about the history of video games, about making games. Maybe people who used to work in the industry and now they are very senior, they don't work there anymore, but they're definitely not connected to some of these companies. Like, that's just weird. But anyway, Rob Kostich is sitting in that board from Activision. And don't confuse Rob Kostich with Bobby Kotick. I don't know if that's a requirement if you want to go up high in the ranks of Activision, that you have to have a name that sounds similar to Bobby Kotick. It's like you order Bobby Kotick from Wish.com and you get Rob Kostich instead. And you're like, that's not what I ordered, but it's similar, but it's not what I ordered. So anyway, this kicked off a whole backlash, okay? And the whole gaming industry, and as you can see on Twitter, it's trending right now. People are upset. People are like, hold on, we need to take a very clear stand on here. For example, Naomi Kyle tweeted, I think she used to be presenter at IGN or something. She is a personality of the gaming industry, and she says, I love the Game Awards, but this is not the way. Sony and Microsoft can have a stance on Activision Blizzard, but the Game Award can't. Unless you do decide to come out with a solid stance, I won't be attending. Okay, so that's what consequences are. They're like, I am not coming. If you can't make it clear what your position is on this, then I am not coming, right? Geoff Keighley could have said in this interview, For this year, we are excluding Activision from this show. He could have said, unless Activision comes out with a satisfactory apology or statement, we do not even want to nominate their games. Well, the whole shitstorm got so big that a few hours later, Geoff Keighley wrote back and he changed his mind and he tweeted the following. Beyond its nominations, I can confirm that Activision Blizzard will not be part of this year's The Game Awards. The Game Awards is a time of celebration for this industry, the biggest form of entertainment in the world. I hate Geoff Keighley, I just have to say it, man. He is such a smug, pretentious, hypocritical moron. I'm sorry, but it's just like you look at this guy, it's like slime oozing out of all his pores. There's no place for abuse, harassment, or predatory practice in any company or any community. And I always felt this way, okay? I always wanted to say this. Just previously, I just felt more that we have to kind of very careful about how we proceed here. But now I'm very clear about this, okay? There's no room for harassment. I also realize we have a big platform which can accelerate and inspire change. We are committed to that. It sounds like I'm reading a message from the board behind Bobby Kotick at Activision, right? It sounds the same, like all these people have this language. But we all need to work together to build a better and more inclusive environment so everyone feels safe to build the world's best games. Oh, God, man. It is so pretentious. Followed by, all of us are accountable to this standard. Incredible games and the talented developers who built them are who we want to celebrate. See you on Thursday. So he kind of wrote back on this, right? He's like, well, yes, I did say this previously, but now I say this, so that's different, right? That's kind of different. It is clearly just damage limitation, isn't it? He's like, hold on. People are going to boycott our show, aren't they? So I guess we should say something. Not that I care about this harassment and misconduct, but I mean, I do care about the viewers numbers for our show. So, I mean, because the truth is, the gaming industry has become a cesspool of harassment and serious misconduct over the past years. Sony PlayStation was recently sued by a former employee alleging gender discrimination. Microsoft has faced a number of discrimination accusations over the years. There's been the whole Riot Games story, where people went out in the street to protest, which resulted in a huge settlement. We also remember the story around Ubisoft, where they had loads of cases with like Me Too movement and harassment and misconduct in their company, where they tried to silence it. Actually quite similar to what happened at Activision, where the company is basically failing to take this misconduct seriously. And it's been going on for years, and it's been supported by the boards, by the upper ranks members. They're all like, yeah, you know, it's not such a big deal. Let's just make a Ghost Recon game. So these are not single cases. This is a bigger trend that is part of the games industry. And I feel personally it is crucial that external entities like journalists, other game companies, but also award shows take a very clear stand on this, okay? And do this from the beginning and impose consequences on these companies and say, you did this, unless you can come forward and kind of put this right and show a genuine interest in fixing this in your company, we're gonna exclude you from this show. Simply to make a statement, let's be honest, Activision doesn't really care if they win a game award, but the impact it has on the public opinion and the public awareness of these cases can be shaped by decisions and consequences like that. So as Geoff Keighley said in this tweet, we're going to see those nominations, right? All the Activision Blizzard games are going to be nominated, and when they're going to be appearing on screen, everyone's going to applaud, and everyone's going to cringily look around and be like, oh God, I hope they don't mention it. And that's kind of the problem. Okay, unless you mention it in some shape or form, it is still silencing the problem. You're not really putting it out there, because not everyone watches videos like this one, right? Or the ones where I broke down what happened to Bobby Kotick. Not everyone is aware of this who's watching the Game Awards. So in a way, the Game Awards should use their platform to make people aware of it. And with that, increase the pressure on companies like Activision to make it super clear that this kind of stuff will not be tolerated. Of course, you can say, well, it's not the Game Awards' responsibility to educate the public about this. But in a way, it is. In a way, it is their responsibility. Because as long as you kind of remain neutral to a situation like this by not mentioning it, you are taking the side of the oppressor. That's what you're doing. You're highlighting the games, you're showing glorifying trailers, you're making it all look shiny and golden and great, but you're not highlighting what the real problem is. This is like sits like a cancer above this whole gaming industry, and they're just like, Well, we need to let these guys show and kind of advertise their games, because let's be honest here, what are the Game Awards? It's like a 2-3 hour advertising show for video games, okay? People home to get some new trailers, see some new infos on games that they're excited about. I get it, and Keighley said as well in this interview that is the part that's definitely most popular within the Game Awards. Like if they have any new announcement, nobody really cares about the Game Awards. It is just about people sitting in front of that stream hoping to get a new trailer for some game that they hadn't heard about, so it's quite ridiculous in itself. And just put yourself for a second into this position of the employees who have been harassed, who have been going through hell at companies like this. I would totally feel let down. And I'd be like, come on, man, you have this great reach, you're celebrating the industry. Yeah, then celebrate the industry and make clear what's wrong with the industry, and not just that everything is great. But to be honest, let's look at a guy like Geoff Keighley. He's exactly this kind of person who's spawned by marketing culture, right? He doesn't want to offend anyone, and he's like all smooth around the edges. He's not the kind of guy who gets on stage and says, this is messed up. Okay, we don't want to make the whole evening about this messed up behavior, but these are the consequences, and we want to make it super clear that everyone who watches this is aware that this is happening, and this is how we're going to take consequences forward in this show. Now let's celebrate games. He's not the kind of guy who has the balls to take a stance like this, to have a clear opinion going forward, and maybe even take the risk of offending someone who's sitting on the advisory board of the Games Awards, you know? Like, he's not doing that. He's not that kind of guy. He wants to be friends with everyone. And I'm glad to see that this stuff now backfires. And, you know, he kind of pissed on his own leg with this interview that he gave to the Washington Post. But what are your thoughts on this, guys? Do you agree with me? Do you feel this kind of stuff should be brought up at a celebration of the industry? Should we also highlight the negatives? Or do you think it has no place in a celebration like that? It's an award ceremony, and we should just silence this kind of stuff, not bring it up. It should be happening in an article at Kotaku, but not at a celebration like this. Leave all your thoughts down in the comment section below, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I appreciate that, and it helps the channel out. You can also subscribe down there, smash the bell as well, because I'd love to see you in another video. Until then, take care of yourselves. I'm out. Bye.